Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? I'm back and ready for action. Feel like I've aged 25 years in 2 weeks, but still, I am ready for action. Stiff upper lip and all that. Anyway, I've been away for a fortnight. Loads of people have sent me stories and WhatsApp messages and all this stuff, so I'm going to go through it all now, and I thought this can be a new feature. A friend of mine told me I ramble on a bit too much in the pub last week, so I'm going to prove him wrong. This feature's going to be called 2 weeks, 10 minutes. Can you guess who I'm going to talk about first? Yeah, there you go. Him. Look at the clip of him. HIV positive James O'Brien. So, I'll start with him, and I'll blast through the rest. 2 weeks, 10 minutes. You can't say fairer than that, can you? Right then, so let's talk about this bloke. Came from nowhere, and all of a sudden, he's absolutely everywhere. That one fact alone should tell you everything you need to know about Gary Stevenson. If the bloke is a complete unknown, and then bosh, he's rammed down your throat 24/7, that's it. We don't need to discuss him any further. It's all part of the plan, isn't it? Normal people, it's like a snowball effect. They have to put a lot of effort in. People like Carl Benjamin get to where they are by putting in the hours 6 days a week for a decade. But blokes like this that the establishment want to promote, they just pop up out of nowhere and then they're in your face 24/7. So I don't even care what he has to say. That simple fact alone tells you everything you need to know about Gary Stevenson. But if you haven't seen him because you've been living under a rock, because you can't move without seeing him on social media these days, here's the little screed, the impassioned plea that he made that seems to have sent him viral in the first place.
I will agree 100%. It is difficult to tax rich people.
Yeah.
It is very, very, very difficult to tax rich
So the
people.
difference-
I don't come here saying I want to tax rich people because it's easy. I know it's hard. I know probably I'm going to lose. I know our viewers' kids will live in desperate poverty. I know that. I do this because it is hard. If we are a country which says to ourselves, we don't try and do things which are necessary to keep our kids out of poverty because they are hard, then our kids will live in poverty. I don't need to be here. I'm a multimillionaire just like you. I could be in the Philippines drinking pina coladas. I come in here because I come from a poor background and it's ordinary families like my family, like the kids I grew up with, whose kids are going to be in poverty. It's difficult, but it is necessary. Sometimes we have to do things not because they're easy, but because they are hard. That is what makes a rich country rich, and that is what protects ordinary people. Listen, our grandparents lived in poverty. Did they say, let's not change it because it's hard? No, they didn't. They fought and they demanded healthcare, education, housing, food, and they got it. They got it.
So you
That's
think
why
we're
my
not demanding
parents
enough?
could live a good quality life. They got those things. They got those things, and they were aware that in order to do that, you could not allow the super rich who have been living lives of luxury for hundreds and hundreds of years to eat everything while ordinary families couldn't afford to feed their kids. I know it's difficult. And I know I'm probably going to lose. I know that. I know I'm probably going to lose, and that means our viewers will be poor. But I do it anyway because I do not want this country that I grew up in to fall into desperate poverty.
Impressed with that, were you? Because I wasn't. He reeks of insincerity. I've told you this. You can tell when someone's got their art on the sleeve. He hasn't got it. That's performative. It's play acting. I don't know where he came from. I don't know who gave him all of his money to gamble with. But he's got nothing. He doesn't strike me as bright. He doesn't say anything that's even remotely original. He's got no charm, no charisma, and the way he talks pisses me off. He basically is like a cross between Stormzy and Ed Miliband. Yeah? And I don't like either of them knobheads either. So ignore him. As best you can, ignore him. Moving on, Rachel Reeves is squeezing benefits as 2025 growth forecasts have halved. Really? You do surprise me. What, are you telling me that Rachel from accounts is almost as bad at maths as Diane Abacus? Are you telling me that? Really, you do surprise me. Anybody with an IQ above 2 digits knows that you can't tax your way to growth. The amount of wealth creators and millionaires that have already fled the UK in like the last paltry 6 months is staggering. If you think it's got bad now, just wait. Just wait. It's Labour by numbers. It's what always happens. The Tories were useless. As we all know, the Tories are useless, but they would have been less useless than Labour when it comes to the economy. Everybody who creates wealth is leaving. It's due to Labour policies. It's going to get much, much, much worse before it gets better. And they're going to blame anyone but themselves. They're going to blame Brexit. They're going to blame Trump. They're going to blame... It's childish. It's juvenile. All those millionaires left in the last 6 months. It's not Brexit. It's not Trump. It's not the pandemic. It's Rachel Reeves being about as good with money as Paul Merson is at the Cheltenham Festival after 15 pints and 6 lines of marching powder. The woman is grossly incompetent. Every policy they've enacted for the last 6 months has been the wrong one. All of the people that innovate and create wealth in the private sector have all left. And all you've got left is public servants. Well, the 3 Ps. What have you got in the UK now? Public servants, pedos, and parasites. That's all you've got in the UK now. And those 3 things don't create wealth. So, as I've been telling you for the last 4 or 5 years, grab your ankles and part your whiskers. Because it's all downhill from here, boys. Ah yes, tougher rules are needed to protect people online. The report warns. The report says exactly what the government wants it to say, doesn't it? And they did this last time. Every time there's a tragedy, they go, oh, you know what this means we need to do? Clamp down online. Axel Rudu Kanubu knifes a few kids in the face. Clamp down on talking online. Truck of Peace squashes 40 innocent people like frogs in Berlin or Nice or Hamburg or London. You can't move without cars and trucks mounting the pavement these days. Like the only person in the whole of the EU giving driving lessons is Stevie Wonder. And they always report it as well, don't they? Car mounts pavement, as if the cars drive themselves. No, you mean radicalised regular at Alan's world's famous snack bar mounts a pavement on purpose to kill people because he's absolutely toppers with jihadi juice and he thinks it's a good idea. And then, lo and behold, our politicians think it's a good idea importing these people. Anyway, point is, people talking online's not the problem. It isn't. People have been talking online for a long time. It's not a new thing. In fact, I remember going on a chat room, FreeServe. It was one of the first internet service providers when I was a teenager, playing with it. Wow, this is amazing, a chat room. In like 1996 or something. Like years before I joined the RM, which was 99. None of this is new. All that's new is the government has got more and more shambolic and we're now led by authoritarian sociopaths whose every single response to every tragedy or mass murder or act of savagery is, you know what the real problem is? People talking. Mass death, people talking. Imported killers brought in on their watch, on purpose, unvetted, high risk, high T men with low anger management, high sex drives, and big floppy cocks and nowhere to put them. Yeah, people talking online. That's what the problem is. No, it's not. It's not. And it never will be. And every time there's an act of savagery, they go, you know what the real problem is here? People talking online. That's not the problem. That's not the problem. The BBC can tell you that's the problem as many times as they like. They can repeat it till the cows come home. But unless you're like the Ginger Prince and you got your brain sucked through your bell end by some big bee-stung lips, you'll never fall for it no matter how many times they present this evidence to you, will you? You've all seen these reports. Report warns. The reports are useless. The reports are worthless. The reports are not worth the paper they're printed on. They did a grooming gang report, and at the end of it they said, oh yeah, but it definitely isn't being carried out by the people that are doing it. I think we should be concentrating on ginger blokes from South Shields. Yeah, that's the problem. Cheers then. These reports are they're a whitewash. And if you can't see that, you can't see anything. You can see less than the aforementioned vocally gifted but sight-cursed Mr. Wonder currently giving driving lessons to those splendid fellows that go to the big golden bell end churches every Friday. You know what I'm talking about. I have to use euphemisms. The ones who rattle the cousins with alarming frequency. Maybe that's why they're such bad drivers. Maybe with webbed feet, you can't find the brakes as easily. Oh yeah, and this can be the cherry on top. We'll sum up with this one. Police are going to get new powers to protect places of worship. Really? Really, places of worship. You know what that means? You know, are they going to be protecting churches? Are churches going to get looked after by the bobbies? Are the Sikhs and the Hindus and the 4B2s, are they all loving this going, oh, finally, we get some more authoritarianism to look after the places we worship? No, No, not places of worship. One place of worship. The one that looks like a big golden phallus with a big golden bell end on top of it. You know it, and I know it, but we can't say the word. Mike, Oscar, Sierra, Quebec, Uniform, Echo. That's the only building that's getting more police powers to protect it. As if they haven't got enough power already. As if in 2025, when they've been encroaching on your freedoms every single year, aggressively, since 9/11, they've been at it. Every single year, the state takes more and more freedom of speech, of movement, of thought, of deed away from you, spying on you, watching you, locking you up for Facebook posts, locking you up for tweets, locking you up for talking, locking you up for private WhatsApp groups that nobody was supposed to see anyway, locking you up for making effigies of certain asbestos-covered council buildings that burnt down, even though it's just two blokes having a laugh in the back garden. It might not be very tasteful, but who does it hurt? Victimless crime, right? Victimless crime. Maybe worry about the people that burnt the actual towers down rather than two chavs having a laugh about it in the back garden. But no, apparently, with all that's gone on and all of the hundreds of people languishing in prisons for doing nothing more than talking or telling jokes, the police need even more powers to protect the people at the very, very top of the tree. You know the ones I'm talking about. The ones whose ideology caused all the deaths at 7/7 and 9/11 and Nice and Madrid train bombings and Bataclan and Beslan and Charlie Hebdo, and I can reel it off for hours and hours and hours without even taking a breath because I'm sick of reading about it. And after all that, they go, you know what the real problem is? We really need to clamp down on people who are outside them big golden bell end buildings. We need to clamp down on that. That's the problem. As I've told you, you have to laugh. You have to laugh. How many times have I said it? If the government and the police didn't care about the torture, systematic surprise sexing, and occasional murder of innocent children, they care about nothing. Nothing. If they won't address that, they will address nothing. They could set off a dirty bomb in the middle of Manchester and kill 200,000 kids, and the next day the government would say, you know what we need? We need more new powers to stop people talking on the internet. That's why after Axel, we got a TV programme blaming it all on some pasty 13-year-old lad. And then you get one mount the curb and kill a few innocent people in London, and now it's like, oh, you know what the real problem is? We need to watch the places of worship. Well, I say places, the place of worship, singular, because they aren't worrying about Sikhs and Christians and anybody else, are they? But that's going to have to do. I think that was about 10 minutes, wasn't it? Thanks for tuning in. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm fatter, balder and drunker, but I'm back. And I'll see you all tomorrow, all right? Have a good night. Toodle pip. Cheers.